Hi. Hello! Hi, Dark, how you doing? Praise the moon. 'Tis Bloodborne time, Dark Souls is over. We will never speak of Dark Souls again. 'Tis the time of the moon. I guess actually, it's not entirely inaccurate to say that you have the 3 Dark Souls games that are about the sun. Well, not about the sun, but connected to the sun. The other 3 games that we're going to do are connected to the moon. So, it sort of works. A lot of moon and star stuff in Elden Ring. A lot of moon imagery in Sekiro as well. But just a lot of night imagery, I guess. Comes with the Shinobi territory. How you doing? You doing good? Music's a little loud. Turn that down a tad. Sanctuary Guardian, calm down. Yay! So today we're going to be doing all the Bloodborne bosses, including Chalice dungeons. Chalice? No, the full-on Chalice. Love a good moon. Love a good pale moon. How you doing, Ragdoll? You doing good? Yeah. So I haven't looked up a list of bosses for this. I don't need a list of the bosses in the main game, but the Chalice dungeons, I do them every time I play the game, but they're not as memorable because they're just... If you don't know what the Chalice dungeons are, Bloodborne has its main story with the overworld and all the places and all that sort of stuff. But it also has as sort of entirely optional thing where, even though most of the game is optional, has an entirely optional thing of randomly generated dungeons. But in order for you to progress through the system of ever-increasing difficulty in these randomly generated dungeons, there are fixed seed dungeons that you must complete to get materials to get to the next thing. So there is a fixed version that you go through. I've never done a random one. I probably tried one once, but generally speaking, I just go through the fixed seed, and there are bosses in those that are not in the base game. So we'll be doing those as well. Was running from pigs. I'm good. I see you've been playing War Tales. I had an update. You got signs and heads on pikes. Can you combine the two? Can you put a head on a sign, or just write the name of a town on the forehead of a head on a spike? Hi, Jim. Hello and welcome. How are you? Are you good? It's warm today. It's not really like, it's not sunny, it's just very, you know what I mean? That kind of, warm. Hi. It's stream. Yeah, so, we'll be doing Bloodborne. Exhausted, oh no. Have you been gymming? Have you been getting strong? Yeah, let's swim to the document. I'm not getting rid of any of these. They're all, I've color coded them so it's easier to see game by game now. Green is Dark Souls 1, blue is Dark Souls 2, yellow is Dark Souls 3. They're the colors I associate with the games. Today we'll be doing red, unsurprisingly. It also goes to show just how many bosses are in Dark Souls 2 by comparison, and roughly where they are on the scale. Oh, hang on. Gale is not in Dark Souls. What are you doing? You're not in Dark Souls 2. Get out of there. Get out of there. Absolute turnips. I did this just before the stream, so evidently I'm not quite on the ball. It's also difficult to get yellow because, you know. Whatever, we get the idea. Yeah, also had to make a difficult phone call this morning, and it's hot, so that plus working out means tired. Yes, I know the feeling. But I assume you did it. You made the phone call, and that's good. New War Tale stuff. The ungrateful louts want a pay rise. Years of service, and they want more money. Dear. This is Bloodborne music. What is it? This is Dark Beast. I like this one. Bloodborne has my favourite soundtrack of the series, but that's not really saying a lot. It's just got some very good tracks on it. Still don't think it fits. Did the phone call, which means you're now officially on the waiting list for anxiety issues. Hurrah! You did it! I'm just being anxious on my own, so it's fine. I'm on the waiting list for exactly a week's time. Well, not exactly a week's time, just under a week's time, in which case I will be at the dentist. But that's fine. I've had the unfortunate combination of dental-based anxiety, or well, health anxiety in general, but induced by malfunctioning dental procedure. So whenever anything happens with teeth, I get very worried, and one of my teeth is going weird, so I have to book a thing with the dentist. But also my sinuses have decided to play up. On the same side of my face as the teeth the tooth that's playing up. So I'm now, my brain's convincing itself like there's a massive infection or something, and there isn't. It just looks a bit weird. So yeah, my sinuses are teaming up with my anxiety just to make things worse. But never mind that, we're here to play Bloodborne. We're not here to talk about horrible body stuff, we're here to talk about Bloodborne. Yeet. So, yes, I'll be doing all the main bosses in the game. I'll also be doing all the Chalice Dungeon bosses, because if I say that we're not doing optional side dungeon bosses, then Elden Ring's going to take 5 minutes. So, your dentist fear comes from when you had braces. You felt like you couldn't breathe every time you had a braces check out. Oh no. So they just associate dentistry with not breathing. That's, yeah, not the best connection. I associate dentistry with failure. And a month and a half of having half a tooth in my head. And a list of all of the things that could go wrong with the following procedure. Anyway. But I just have to keep reminding myself that this is largely a routine thing. Like, people have wisdom teeth out all the time, they're always having teeth removed, false teeth are a cliche, that so commonly people have to have teeth replaced. It's just... I just need to realise that it's just because I haven't done it doesn't mean it's scary. Right. Let's start. Bloodborne also has very detailed designs, so that's going out the window. Right, Cleric. Cleric Beast, the first boss. Also my last boss, because I missed it on my first playthrough. I don't know what it looks like. What does it look like? It's got like horns. Go like that, something like that. Antlers. Lovely designs in Bloodborne. Why antlers? I don't know. Got like a wolf face. All floofy. Sort of hunched over. It's got the big Manus arm, hasn't it? That's a recurring theme in these games. Big Manus arm. Does anything in Elden Ring have a big Manus arm? Oh yeah, the Godric. You just helped the lady do a funeral for her piggy. Oh no. Oh, well, I mean, that's nice of you. The thing is all fluffy. I think he has a big Manus arm. Or am I making that up? I think both of his arms are big, but one of them is the big claw. Hey Luna, you're looking a bit weird. This is the thing with Bloodborne, is it's very detailed. It's gothic horror. And I can't do that. There's a reason I haven't done Beyond the Foggate Bloodborne edition. Apart from the fact that I couldn't think of any good comics. Lots of hair, right? It's very hairy one. This is terrible. What a terrible start. Again, I'm doing these from memory, and I have to do all of them in one stream, so they have to be quick. You also fell down the back of a rabbit hole listening to musicals you used to watch as a child, and you're beginning to realise none of these songs ever left your head. Hooray! Yeah, I had a bit of a childhood binge recently. Into a lot of Doctor Who stuff as well. I want to do something with Doctor Who now. Doctor Who monsters or something. Ranking all the Doctor Who monsters. Oh god, I'll be here all year. Well, that's my approximation of Cleric Beast. What's Cleric Beast? It's a good tutorial boss. It has brilliant music. The best music in the soundtrack, probably. It's a good fight. It teaches you what you need to know. It's also completely optional. I missed it. I can't remember how to draw it. I don't know, this is pretty good. I think of it like Asylum Demon, so I'm going to put it on the same level as Asylum Demon. It's a B, just as a reminder for our scale. Anything above B, well, C is average. Anything above B is something that I think I would be disappointed or I would be annoyed if it was removed. Anything below D is something that I would be perfectly happy being removed. So that's the general sort of scale. C is average, below D is, yeah, you can get rid of it. Above B is, don't touch it. Need me to play Borderlands 2 with you because you've died so many times and you need emotional support. Well, apparently Zero is terrible to play single player, and that's who I played, single player. So I guess I could be a good support. Yeah, I'll play Borderlands 2, why not? Next boss, Gascoigne. Gascoigne properly introducing this idea of two real different phases. I'm just going to draw him with his hat. Here's like a blindfold. I don't know why I'm drawing you so small. Gascoigne's a man. It's like PvP. He's got an axe. You may have the axe. You may not. I didn't. I had the cane. I haven't done any drawing from scratch today, so this is gonna be... I've been doing mostly inking. Yeah, Papa Gascoigne, also good music. A very cold breath. Got a cool coat. Everybody in Bloodborne has a cool coat. Him got axe. Miss shared a video of somebody online who made like a proper sort of spring-loaded saw spear. Looks very dangerous. The one thing you didn't expect to bother you so much going from BL3 to 2 is that you can't climb. Can you not? It's been a very long time since I played. I'm constantly getting stuck. Died behind one of those saving poles because you couldn't climb or jump over it and there was an enemy in front of you. Yeah. Going backwards, I guess, is painful sometimes. Yeah, I'd recognize this friend. Doesn't he have the thing where his like left leg is wrapped up or something? Because there was a belief in old Yharnam that beast blood went up your left leg or something. If you wrap that up, you're fine. As you know, Gascoigne's absolutely fine. No issues here. No siree. This guy's as fit as a fiddle. No beastdom here. He's not going to transform into a big hulking monster. This was my first boss in Bloodborne. This was my first FromSoft boss. Because this was the first one I played. I didn't find him all that frustrating, it must be said. It was a good fight. Subsequent playthroughs I found him quite tricky. Very tense. Very... If you don't parry, you're in for trouble. There's no climbing and no sliding. That was confusing at first, but you didn't know which was going to frustrate you so much. All the things you didn't expect to miss the parkour. Well, you wait till you get back to Borderlands 1. There are no guns in that. No, I don't know. Nameless song. Lovely. I need to get back to making Via music. I was tempted to do Via music today. I can say that. Does he have a cape? Everyone has a cape. Also, he's like Father Gascoigne, so does he have like a dog collar? Anywho, yes, Gascoigne. Yeah. I'm not gonna put it as high. I don't like it as much as Cleric. The music's very good though. Put it on par with Gundyr. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, I'll put it on par with Gundyr. Why does he have broccoli in his mouth? He has very cold breath. He breathes out and it condenses. Or I guess it's very warm breath in cold air. It's a thing in the cutscene. He opens his mouth and he shows his teeth and he goes like that. Yeah, Daddy Gascoigne. There's also a gimmick with the you can get a music box from his daughter, and if you play that, he goes, "Oh God!" Ah! But if you play it too much, he just straight up turns into a monster. That's cool. I like that. Add story into a boss fight. Grand. Also, his dead wife's in the arena. Bloodstarved Beast. How am I going to draw this? I don't know. Bloodstarved Beast was my second boss in Bloodborne, and my first wall. It's got like a sort of cape over its head. And by cape, I mean its own flayed skin. Yeah, I got incredibly angry at this boss. It was my first sort of big brick wall that I hit. I've said this several times before. It's the reason I have a series with the Outliers called Why We Didn't Finish. Because I needed to put that anger somewhere, and so I made Why We Didn't Finish Bloodborne. Which was basically an exercise in trying to work out how the Outliers would have done worse than me. I don't really, yeah, this thing has this like skin flayed off. It's very unpleasant. It screams a lot. It has poison. I hate the poison. Poison's very annoying. I think the most annoying thing about this boss is that it's really, really hard. It's very fast. It poisons you if you get close in the later phases. But when you know how to do this boss, you can do it without being hit. It is incredibly straightforward once you know the trick, which is keep walking left. It's just trivial, completely trivializes the boss. Yeah, we'll go with that. Also, it's poisonous, so it's stinky. So by that merit, not really a fun fight to redo, because once you know it, it's trivial. And an annoying one to learn, so I guess it has to be quite low. Also optional, I guess. If you do the Cleric Beast, you don't have to do Bloodstarved Beast, and vice versa. I don't think it has a lot to do with the history of Old Yharnam, apart from they hunt these things and skin them. I don't know, it's just a big beast, really. Yeah, I don't know, see... I feel like I have to put it lower just because of the sheer rage I had at the first time fighting it. It still didn't take me as long as Millennia. The second boss I ever fought got me into such a rage, and it took about a quarter of the time as it did to do the last boss I fought in a FromSoft game. I've learned patience since then, it seems. Yeah, I'll put it there. I wouldn't really want it to be removed, but I'd probably be fine. Probably. It's not that big a thing. Amelia! Amelia Pond? No. More antlers. What if we put antlers on a dog and made it huge and screamy? Amelia has the cool transformation sequence. That's always a good start. And is very floof. Much floof. Many scraggles. Which is clutching a amulet. She won't let you have it, you know. You don't want it, but she won't let you have it. I mean, you take it when you kill her, but you know you're not here for that. I quite like Amelia. Again, annoying. If you wanna see how annoying this boss can be, either try and do it with an arcane weapon or watch my tentacle only run recently. Oh my god. Animal Crossing dog. Yeah, this is the one from Animal Crossing. Everybody knows Vika Isabel, right? She's clutching a bag of bells. She heals, which is annoying. But I guess that's part of Bloodborne's ethos of you have to be quick, you have to get in there. This entire game is trying to get you to go. You have to get in there. You can't hang about. You can't wait. You're not allowed to use shields. I'll give you one, but it's bad. Antler dog. Hi, Christy. You mean when people put antler ear warmers on their pets? Somebody's surely done that. Somebody's taken a video of a dog, like a little puppy, running around with little reindeer antlers. The little sort of floppy plastic ones, and then put Amelia's boss music over the top of it. Which I think is just the cleric music boss. She doesn't even have her own music. She's just another cleric beast. Kind of. Not really. Completely different fight. I like her. She feels significant. I don't really know, like, her thing. One of my favorite things about this boss is Americans discovering the word Vika. Because to me, it's such a mundane word. We have vicars, you know, we have a sitcom called The Vicar of Dibley and stuff like that. It's just the people who work in the people who are in charge of a little church. They're vicars. And just watching when Bloodborne came out, watching a lot of American streamers going, what's a Vicar? Which, to be fair, does sound cooler than Vicar. Someone should do it now. Yeah, this is Amelia. She looks better than this. Can't say as I think it's an amazing boss. Very annoying with arcane only. Heals. It's bad. But fine. I put it a nice, solid C. Solid, good average. Nice. A Vicar. Let's do the time warp again. No, let's do the witches before I forget. Witches are a gimmick boss. They have a scoop. They have a scoop. They're gonna scoop at your eyes because they're covered in eyes. They collect eyes. That's their thing. Well, that's not their thing in this particular fight. In this particular fight, they're invisible. You enter the fight, and if you have insight, there will be an enemy that appears in the middle of the room, and you'll be like, "Cool, attack the thing," and then you attack it, and the health doesn't go down. You're like, oh, okay, let's not attack the thing. You look around, and you eventually bump into something. And you're like, "What's this? Oh, you're invisible. There's an invisible boss. Attack the invisible boss." And you attack the invisible boss, and the health bar goes down, and everything's grand and good and fine. And then you kill it, and the boss fight does not end. And you're like, okay, that's a problem. And then the second health bar appears. You're like, oh, there are two of them. And then the second one heals the first one. This boss fight has so many gimmicks. I love it. Thoroughly unironically. I put a lot of stock into gimmicks. I put a lot of stock into first experiences. And as a first experience, this boss is very good. It's very fun. Subsequent playthroughs, a bit dull, but also not hard. So, you know, if you're going to do a gimmick boss that's boring on subsequent playthroughs, at the very least make it easy. And it is. So, Kajiro got mushrooms. Kajiro also got a friend. Kajira. And also this guy. No, hang on. In this game, it's down, isn't it? He's there too. I like the witches. I'm sorry. And again, put a lot of stock into good gimmicks. Might be the best gimmick boss in the series. Yeah, I'll put an A. You can't stop me. I like a good gimmick. It's so good. There's like 3 in this. It's great, brilliant. Vika sounds cool because it's less than a priest. What kind of work is a priest anyway? I don't know. Well, a Vika, as the name suggests, acts vicariously for the priest. Or for the bishop, I think, more accurately. Silhouettes with white glowy eyes are always so scary. Yeah, they do the same thing in Elden Ring. We'll get to that. But for now, a lot of Bloodborne's optional, so I'm going to have to try and not forget that. Next we have... we've done the Vicar, so that means we can go to the Forbidden Woods. So it's Shadows of Yharnam, speaking of shadows. These guys are pretty straightforward. I like that. This is, interestingly, if you look into the history of Bloodborne, this is a replacement boss. This is a boss that was put in place of another boss that should have been there, but turned out not to be fun. They're ring wraiths, basically. You like ring wraiths? They're ring wraiths. One of them has a candle. Candlestick. I think it's just a single. One of them has a big old bull on a stick. And one of them has a sword. I'm gonna make him left-handed because you can't stop me. And later on, they have snakes coming out of their face. Yeah, the boss that was originally here was a giant snake ball, and it turned out to be just not enjoyable. So they went, oh, okay, let's stick these guys in, I guess. Or as you say, wing waifs. Snake face! Who wants snacks? It's them. Okay, well, hey, who likes a broken record? Me, I do. I don't like multi-enemy bosses. I've been saying that for the past 3 streams. 2, actually, I guess. This is just management. This is just management of the fight. You've just got to manage these. They all have basically the same... Well, they don't have basically the same AI. Some of them are, you know, Candle Guy is ranged, fires fireballs at you. Sword Guy's aggressive, Ball Guy's annoying, but not the end of the world. You kind of get a sort of Ornstein and Smough thing out of these guys, depending on which one you kill first. They have slightly different AI towards the end, but not really. Yeah. Reading the comment before the stream, catching up was a rollercoaster of imagination. Snake face. You do meet enemies earlier on in this area that have snake faces, so this is that. Even that's not a surprise, to be honest. Not particularly. Not particularly. No, I wouldn't mind if they were removed. I'll be honest. They're not bad. I don't hate them. They're manageable, but that's not really what you want out of a boss, is it? The best you can say is it's manageable. You're not going high up the list. Before I forget, I'm going to do Amygdala. You can get Amygdala before you carry on this part of the game, so let's do Amygdala. Amygdala's design is wonderful. It's the weirdest thing. I think it's the first like great one you can fight in the game. And it's a real weird one. Do you have trypophobia? You're not gonna like this, boss. Yeah, this is kind of an interesting fight. It's a bit, again, it's kind of like Camera the boss fight, but they do try and mitigate that, because if you try and attack its feet, you don't do any damage. We do some damage, but not a lot. So you got to try and attack its arms instead, which means you have to be far away enough from it that you can see it with the camera. Unfortunately, a lot of the attacks are still coming from way above you. But it's cool. It's a weird design. I've got to stop drawing the same beast feet on everything. This is not a beast. This is a weird thing. I think it's technically not a great one. Amygdala. Or Amygdala, as they pronounce it in the game. Even though it's named after a part of the brain called the amygdala, which is pronounced amygdala. Don't worry about it. It does the thing in Dark Souls 2 with the last giant where it rips off its own arm and uses that as a weapon, which you can get in the DLC. It also has too many fingers, because that's weird. And also annoying to draw. Cathing up. And you have poor Rom and Coke. We'll get to Rom. Rom's here. It also has a lot of arms. I don't know how many arms it has. Is it an insect? It might be an insect. I think it's got that thing where it's got like its little finger is really long for some reason. I'm gonna say that's the one that was cut off. Put it up there like that, and then it can have its hand on its hip, which is always fun. Visually, this boss is really cool. Mechanically, it's just kind of alright. There's a bit of, to use the phrase I've been coining throughout this series, there's a bit of running from the vomit going on. But in this case, it's not a vomit, it's lasers from the head. There are eyes in the head, and it goes bijou. But yeah, visual design, real cool. Amygdala sounds cool. It does. Again, Amygdala, Vika. If you pronounce things wrong, they sound cool. I think this is good. Big ups for the aesthetics, at least. Again, as a fight, not thrilled. But also not bad. Wouldn't want to avoid it. It is optional, so that's a tick. If you're gonna have a not particularly great boss fight, make it optional. Yeah, put it in Gascoigne C+. It's good. No, its design's too good for that. Yeah, purely for aesthetics, it's going in B rather than B minus. Cool. Next up, oh, you can also do Lagarius at this point, can't you? So let's do Lagarius. I don't know what Lagarius looks like. It looks like Gwyn. Little scraggly hair and a hollow face. He's got his crown of illusions. A big old scythe. Is it a scythe? No, it's like kind of a picky scythe-y thing, right? It's a weird thing, I don't know what it is. Very epic music as well going on right now. This is another optional boss at the end of a completely optional area. It's kind of cool. I seem to recall when I fought it on stream I had some trouble with it, and then I thought, no, actually, hang on, let's rather than just trying to rush through this, let's learn it. Let's actually learn its attacks. And it turned out to be actually quite fun. Again, it's got a bit of a dance going on, a bit like Sullivan. Not quite, but a bit. This feels kind of proto-Sullivan, although he does a lot of jumping in the air. It has projectiles, which is probably the most annoying part, but does he have a sword as well as a scythe? I think he sticks a sword in the ground or something. And I'll give him a sword. Why not? You fight him in a snowy environment, which is neat. Good change of pace from all of the grey. You get a bit of white. I think he has a beard. Pretty sure he's got a beard. This was supposed to be a shawl, but it turned into a beard. Yeah, it's fine. It's kind of fun. Tricky. Yeah. I'm not gonna write home about it. You can go between Amygdala's legs. No, actually, no, let's put you there. Your design isn't interesting enough, I don't think. It's just a guy. It's a ghoul. You know, this is at the end of an area that introduces the idea of ghosts and vampires. Like, we don't get either a ghost or a vampire for the boss. You know, the whole point of Bloodborne is taking all these horror tropes and reinventing them in a new light, right? It's all about werewolves, and, you know, in the DLC you got your kind of Frankenstein stuff going on, and then there's the Lovecrafty sort of things. You just take all of the pre-existing horror ideas and reinvent them in a new world. And so you got this entire area which is building up this idea of the vampires and the ghosts, and then at the end you fight a guy. Sure. Anyway, moving on. What else is there? We're gonna move on to Rom. Good old Rom. I love Rom. Rom is cute. You cannot convince me otherwise. They somehow managed to take something that's called a spider and make it cute. Oh, hello. Also, real easy to draw. Oops. Got little flowers on their back. On her back, sorry. Rom the Vacuous Spider. Somebody who ascended to become a great one, but it didn't go very well. So, now they're just sort of... they're just sort of there. Rom! The little legs. I've mentioned I don't like multi-enemy fights. This is a big one. The moment you attack Rom, I do, again, big fan of setting the scene for a boss. This is one of those bosses, you enter the arena, it's just there on its infinite lake, chilling out. The fight only starts when you hit her. So, you're the bad guy here. She's just chilling, being a spiddler. But when you do, what seems like 100 spiders drop from the sky. And that's mainly the boss, right? At least for the first half. It's mainly the boss of just killing a lot of spiders and trying not to get killed by them because they're strong. And they gang up on you. Yeah, and we kill them for no reason. Not for no reason. We kill them to end the hunt. Why we needed to do that? Could have just... we didn't try knocking on the door to Yahagul. Nobody bothered trying. Yeah. Rom is Rom. Rom is cute. And I love the design. I love their arena. Absolutely wonderful transition and just kind of wow moment. But yeah, as a fight, kind of tedious. Once you know what you're doing and how to deal with the spiders, it's not that bad. But again, if the best you can say about the fight is it's not that bad, it's not good. So big props for the design, the lore, the arena, being cute. Big no for the fight. Well, not big no, but pretty solidified no. We gonna down here maybe see? I don't think, does it cancel out? It looks too cool to go below C. Looks too cool. Looks too cool. Rom down. We can now go into Yahagul, or I have to draw the one Reborn. Also, we're 44 minutes in, and I've done how many bosses? Like 7. 8. Good. Fantastic. There's like 23 in the base game. So let's go a bit faster, shall we? The one Reborn is a mess. Just a bunch of bits and stuff and things, and there's like a body at the top going, I'm in charge. I'm in charge. It's just it's hey, you know the Rotten? You know how we made a thing that was just sort of made of bits of people? Yeah, what if we did that again, but big, real big, and also two-sided for some reason? You could sort of swap sides. Also, we're going to put other enemies in the arena. They fire things at you if you don't take care of them. It also has way too many limbs, and none of them really look like anything. It's just it's a mess. It's supposed to be a mess. It is basically impossible to draw. As a fight, honestly not good. Honestly, really cool introduction, really cool idea. It's just not a good fight. Because at best, the best experience you can have fighting this boss is that it doesn't give you too much trouble. What if but long? It's very long, it's huge. You are about that big. Waving your sword spear. Yeah, this is just it's a really cool thing that could probably have done with a bit more time in the oven in more ways than one. It has like projectiles that come from above you that you can't see because you're trying to attack the body. It's got the Bed of Chaos syndrome, right? Where you're supposed to be looking is exactly not where the attacks are coming from. And it can attack you from any of its 6 limbs. It can swap sides while doing projectiles. It's just try and get this done quickly. Is the best I can say. I don't know what's going on with it. It's a mess. It's a cool design. Again, impossible to draw. We'll have a look at the concept art if we've got time after this, because I want to see the concept art on this thing. I have seen it. I have the book, but it's a thing. Solid. Meh. Are we going down? Are we going down to E? Would the game be better off if it was removed? No. Let's put it on the cusp again. On the cusp again. We'll get down there as soon as we get into the Chalice dungeons, don't worry. Next, we get to the Nightmare. So, Murgo's Wet Nurse. I've missed a lot of bosses because most of the game is optional. Murgo's Wet Nurse is real cool. If you get to the chat, we're going to do the Chalice dungeons. So, Murgo's Wet Nurse has like 7 swords, 6 swords. There's a lot of swords. There's a lot going on in this. And she swishes and swings and schwangles and swoops. She is an empty thing. She's cool. She's real cool. I love her design. She's amazing. The fight is, I wouldn't say great, but it's a solid fight. It's good to learn. It's good to learn how to avoid it. There is a bit, again, there's a bit of the running from the vomit bit in the middle. But again, it's cool vomit. This time it's a weird black cloud and lots of illusions of this lurching out at you and attacking you with swords. But you just have to run in circles. That's it. Yeah, she looks cool. I love that her boss theme is just like a music box. It's very creepy. It's very cool. Covered in jewelry. I don't know what she is. I mean, she's a great one, presumably. Well, she might not be a great one, but she's something in the Nightmare that's looking after Murgo, who is a great one. Who's a baby, who's invisible. Yeah, this is just a pretty solid fight with a really cool design. So that's gonna rank highly on my system. It's got crow wings, big old bat wings, I'm pretty sure. Might be wrong. The bat? Black wings, is what I meant to say. On the cusp again, we can make it to the Bellsprout Secret Evolution. Oh god, if Bellsprout evolves into this. Invisible babies, it's a recurring theme, turns out. Yeah, Murgo's Wet Nurse. I'm gonna put you, you're a better fight than Amygdala, so I guess you should be higher than that. Yeah? Yeah. Higher? You're a cooler design than what's he called? Two Blades. I've already mentioned it once. Aldrich. You're a cooler design. No, not Aldrich. Sullivan. You're a cooler design than Sullivan, but you're not as fun to fight. So do you go? I guess that balances out. Guess I could put you up here. Okay. What in the base game have I missed? Because we're basically at the end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11 bosses. I feel like I missed so much. What have I missed? There can't be just 13 bosses in the game. There's got to be more than that. My brain has ceased to work. Oh, yes. Sorry, I was slapping my forehead there. Celestial Emissary. Speaking of peculiar number of fingers. Celestial Emissary is another, like, mob boss fight, but it's kind of got an interesting gimmick to it, which is that only one of them is the actual boss, a la Dark Souls 2 Royal Rat Vanguard. However, once you do find out which one it actually is, it will explode and turn massive, while all of the other ones are still there. Like that, pretty much. And they're big and blobby and flobbly and blah, blah, blah. And they're the first thing you see in the game, not the boss fight, but the enemy. They're the first thing you see in the game that makes you think, wait, hang on. That doesn't look like werewolves. That's not gothic horror. What's going on here? You're blue and blobby. Your brain decided to hear that as celery for no particular reason. That just reminds me of the Tim Vine joke that I can never say properly. What is it? My friend came up to me the other day and he asked me, does every sentence need to contain a vegetable? And I said, not necessarily. I said it right. But bad. Yeah, this is fine. This is kind of fun and weird and silly. It's not great, but it's alright. I did it! Given my poor pronunciation in pretty much every other sphere, that was not bad. You're not as annoying as Rom, but you're also not as cool. Maybe even lower? No, it's not an annoying fight. There's nothing negative I can say about this. Yeah, they're just kind of fun. It's Mr. Meeseeks. It's the Celestial Emissaries. They're having a good time. They do fire projectiles, which is a bit annoying, but not the end of the world. Ebrietas. Ebrietas. How am I going to draw Ebrietas? Oh, God. I didn't think this through at all. How does... like, is it like a thing like that? And then there's, like, bits like that. I think she's got a bunch of eyes up here, and then some, like, squiggles. Squiggles and squiggles. Or does she have eyes in here? She might have eyes in there as well. Not sure. Eyes on the inside, eh? Ebrieta is another great one. Really cool kind of lore and story. Sort of like this is the great one that they sort of trapped, or it agreed to cooperate. I'm not entirely sure whether or not it's still cooperating or whether it's just stuck. But it's sort of like, I think this might be where the it's got wings of some kind. I think they're sort of very... They shouldn't do anything. But they do. It can just sort of float around a bit. It's got big old tentacle arms to do big old slams. The design is also cool and really interesting and unique. That I can't draw. The fight is... It's not as bad as the one Reborn, but it still gives me the same feeling of I want to just get this done as quickly as possible. So that's not a good sign. I know a lot of people who think this is like the best fight in the game. I don't understand them. The charge in particular can just leave. I would rather you not be there at all because you're just bad. It's a wider face. It's like an almost spherical face, right? Blech. How did that joke exist and you know it? Look up Tim Vine. He's got loads. And I mean it. Rapid fire. I apologise to Ebrieta for turning her into a badly made plush. But yeah, cool story. I'm not a huge fan of the fight. Really cool design, really cool setting, interesting lore. It's not a terrible fight, all things considered. Again, they do that thing a bit like the Bloodstarved Beast, where like if you get close to it in the second phase, you just take damage, which is like whatever. But it does have a weak head, so if you have a cannon, brilliant. Like a penguin flippers. She's just a big penguin. That's all it is. Just the big penguin with blibbly blobbly mouth to filter cosmic krill. Yeah. Bet she has trouble going to the dentist as well. This is just what penguins look like in Bloodborne. Ebrieta, you're not as cute as Rom, but your fight's also not as much of a chore. I can't put everything in C. Like the entirety of Bloodborne cannot go in C. But I honestly can't say I like it that much. Do I like the Celestial Emissary more? No, it's not as fun a fight. I guess I'm gonna have to put it in C. I'm sorry. I can't convince myself either way. Reminds me of one of those plushies of bacteria. I don't know. Is that all the bosses in the base game? Apart from the late game bosses? I feel like there's still stuff I'm missing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. No, hang on. How did I count 11 before and now I've added 2, I've got 12? How does that work? Oh, it's 13. How did I count 12? Ah, my brain is imploding. That's 13. 15 base game? Plus 5. That still doesn't seem right. Help? How many bosses does Bloodborne have? Can't be 15. I swear it's like 18 or something. 17. Because there's 2 at the end, but I'm trying to think what else. Oh, Miklash. Completely forgot about Miklash. Miklash is called Miklash. I've said this before. Because he has a cage on his head and he shouts weird stuff. And as a consequence, he is Miklash Cage. It is a direct reference to The Wicker Man with Nicolas Cage. I will say that every time we get to talk about Miklash. Because that's just really funny. Do it properly. That's better. Ooh, majestic. And he just sort of runs around. He's like an NPC. And he sort of runs... He's a gimmick boss who just sort of runs around and tries to avoid getting attacked. You have to run him in a particular way to get him trapped in a room. And then you can fight him. And then he's an NPC who uses a call beyond. which is attacking you with tentacles. He also has the environment to fight him in. I mentioned with the Ancient Wyvern in Dark Souls 3 that I really quite enjoy bosses that have just massive arenas, just messing with the idea of what is a boss arena. This does that. It's an entire area, this boss, because you spend most of it just running around. There are enemies in it, you can pick up items, it's just an area. It's huge. And it just sort of slowly, well not slowly, it's like, it's pretty restricted when you first get in there, and then you get half of its health down, he disappears, and then the health bar reappears, and the fog gate disappears, and now you're into a massive area. So it's like, yeah. He's prancing, whoa, majestic. Cause, or some say cosm, grant us eyes as you did for the vacuous rum. Whoa. He's weird. He's a weird friend. But again, if you've got a character named after Nicolas Cage, it's going to be weird. Oh. The website lists 17 bosses for the main game, some being optional for specific endings. Okay, so there's still one more I'm missing. What is it? What am I being stupid with? Where can Miklash go? Miklash is funny. I don't find him that annoying now that I know how to do him. And he's funny. So, it's not really a hard boss. I like the fact that you run around an entire area for his arena. He's a cool gimmick. But I have often said that I like gimmick bosses because of their first experience, right? 21 Chalice Dungeon, 5 DLC, right? Okay, so we need to hurry up. Then again, how many of the Chalice Dungeon ones are actually not repeats? You know. Hey, miss! Hello! You see me resting my hand? It's fine. Don't worry about it. Lurking as you angrily paint a wall green. Hooray! Have a good green wall. Wall greens. Enjoy wall greens. Yeah, I'm gonna, yeah. You can prance around there, have a good time. What's the other boss? What is the other boss? Oh, this is annoying me. One more before you get to the end. Parl! Dark Beast Parl. Yes. What if skeleton dog, but massive? And electric. Always forget about Parl. Sorry, Parl. Pal, not pal. It's Parl. Smallest of smoochable friends. Alas, no. There is no small smoochable goblin in Bloodborne. You having a good day, miss? Parl is another one of those bosses that's like best to get done quickly, but not because it's like a chore, but because it's just very fast. And the way you combat it is it has a gimmick where if you attack, a lot of the bosses in this game actually have a gimmick where if you attack their legs, they will stumble. This Parl has it in spades. Every single leg you can attack a certain amount of time and it'll just collapse and its electricity will go off. And it will be vulnerable, and then you go to the next leg and then it drops that and so on and so forth, and you can just kill it without it doing anything. Yeah, more a sort of dog leg sort of thing. Yeah, this is what dog legs look like, right? Its hair's all standing up on end because it's static. Already got a tail, why not? Big old skelly bob dog. What is electric? Not an amazing fight, all things considered. I like the music. It's optional, as is evidenced by the fact I forgot it. I can't put it that high if I forget it, right? It's kind of fun. It's satisfying when you know what to do. Must be said. It is satisfying, and it is just an absolute panic when you don't. So I'm gonna say, let's get some zappies around here. I can't complain about it, really. I have no complaints, so it's definitely at least a C. Am I gonna put it? I'll put it with Miklash, why not? You prance around with Miklash, there you go. Above Vika Amelia? Yeah, it doesn't heal. Sorry, Vika. Right, okay, now we can either go to the end of the game or do DLC. Let's leave the end of the game to the end of the game. Let's do DLC. First DLC boss is Ludwig. How do you draw Ludwig? That is an excellent question. Ludwig is Demon Horse. I don't know. This is just I don't know. I'm gonna go for second phase because it might be a bit easier. But generally speaking, I don't know. So second phase has a big sword. I'm just drawing a dragon, right? I was gonna say a horse with a long neck and big body. That's just a dragon. So this boss is Panic. It's really good. The first time I fought this boss, I beat it. And then the next time I fought it a lot. Oh, we're one boss off. Oh, soundtrack. Wait a second. It's got like another head here that's like just teeth and eyes. Probably another arm going. No, there's a hoof up here. Let's give it a hoof. Why is he a horse? I don't know why he's a horse. I think there's a hoof down here, just sort of stomps at you when it's angry. Maybe this is a proper foot. And it has the Holy Moonlight Sword. Classic FromSoft sword, appears in games way before Dark Souls. Poor sad suffering animal Ludwig. Would I... Let me give it another mouth here, why not? This is a good fight. It's hard when you're not overpowered. It's pretty hard and unforgiving, but it's just a good one-on-one fight. This just reinforces the idea that DLC is almost always has the best boss fights because they've worked out how to do things well with the mechanics. You know, they've had time to actually sit with the mechanics that they've been playing with and like, okay, this is how you do a good boss. Got it. Cool. There's another mouth here. I don't know, does that have a lot of mouths? Probably not. More legs. Does a lot of jumping, so it can have legs. Good fight. Cool lore. Very good music. You get to talk to it afterwards. You get to talk to him and choose to sort of placate him in his sort of dying moments. Two very different phases. I know I'm not a huge fan of phase 1, phase 2 fights when they're very different because it's like, oh, give me a checkpoint, please. I need to learn the second phase. But yeah, this is like just a very good fight. Just very, very good. Really cool design that I've not done justice here. But I need to move on. Yeah, this is pretty solid. Am I going to give it an A? Yeah. A. Gale? Is it on par with Gale? Yes, it is. Is it on par? No, I can't put it higher. Can I? No, I do have misgivings. I can't put it S if I have misgivings. Oh, I'm listening to their music. Living Failures. They stole fizzy lifting drinks. No, they stole the Holst, the planets, Mars. Have you ever listened to Holst's Planet Suite? It was like the first classical music I ever heard. And they just took Mars as their theme. You're listening to it now. Listen to this. Hang on, I'm going to turn it up. That's just Mars. Holst should sue for copyright. I could, but then what else would go in S? I mean, I have misgivings about Artorias as well, I guess. Can I? Do you know what? I'm gonna put you up there. But in exchange, I'm gonna put Manus just a bit higher. Because I don't have misgivings about Manus. Well, I do a little bit about the spells, but not much. Fine, you convinced me. How dare you? The Living Failures they're a multi-enemy boss fight, but honestly, they don't feel like it because they tend to just stay away from one another if you keep moving. So fine. You can kill them one by one, and they disappear, and then they respawn. They're not really a threat on their own too much. It's if they gang up and then they have their cool space attack. These are basically, as far as I can tell, like the attempts at making the Celestial Emissary. These guys here. These were the failures. The living failures. So they're like, why do I exist? I have failed to contact the outside world. I failed to make connections with the cosmos. What did I do, mother? Doing a squat. I like their arena, I like the fight, it's a fun gimmick. It's not a particularly satisfying fight, but it's kind of cool. Again, the music's the best part, honestly. The music's the best part. Like, I'm going to complain about the fact that they just stole Holst, but they did it deliberately. They did it knowingly. This is droopy celery. Mars Ipan. Yes, their heads are made of marzipan. There's 4 of them in the fight, so I'm just gonna... We're here too. We're also droopy. They're creepy and they're droopy, mysterious and spoopy. They're all together goopy. It's the living failures. There they are. I thought they were just torso. No, they got the bloated head thing, but it's sort of collapsed. There's a lot of liquid in the head thing going on in the area before them. Brain fluid. This is the Frankenstein part of the game. Human experiments trying to make something more from bits. I kind of like the gimmick. They're not annoying, but they're not a pleasure. We're gonna parl them. We're gonna put them on parl. On parl. They're on parl with parl. Sure, why not? Yeah, not as annoying as Rom. Cool. Maria. Maria. You gotta see her. She's cool. And she's cool. And on fire. Maria's cool. If anyone's ever told you, she's cool. Also don't know what she looks like. She's cool. She looks like a corpse. Should be left well alone. She's literally on the front cover of the DLC, as well she should be. She's just a PvP fight, right? Well, not really just a PvP. She's not an NPC. Like PvP player with AI. How can I explain this? She doesn't use the same animations and moves and all that as a normal player, but she's the same size as a normal player. She doesn't evolve into a massive monster. She's just very, very good at what she does, and her weapons catch fire and spew blood. I think her hair's tied up, maybe. She's looks like the doll, I guess. That's probably something you should bear in mind. And she ain't having none of your nonsense. She looks cooler than this. I can't draw a tricorn. I'll do. She has a blade that she can split in half, which is neat. Turn it into 2 blades, all connected together to make 1. Double-sided Darth Maul. So the Rakuyo, I think it's called, maybe? She has really cool lore. She's arguably one of the most important characters in the story. She fights like a badass. She has a theme so good that they reused it for every track on the Dark Souls 3 soundtrack. She's arguably the only person in the game with morals. So that's nice. And you kill her. In a nightmare, so she's probably already dead. How do you draw tricorns? Whatever, she looks better than that. Maria's good. Good fight, fun fight. Not as fun to me as Ludwig, but also if you're good at parrying, she's trivial. I watched somebody who's like good at these games and always learns how to parry as they go through the game. I think he beat this boss first try just parrying. It's just completely trivialized it. But if you don't parry, she's good. It's a bit like Gwyn in that respect. Well, no. I just said if you don't parry, she's good. No, she's not like Gwyn in that respect. Gwyn is awful. Am I gonna put her? She's very cool. Yeah, there. I think that's fine. I think B+. People are probably gonna be annoyed at me for that. B+. Orphan of Kos. Up until subsequent games like the Elden Ring, people were like, Orphan of Kos, hardest boss in the franchise, and I don't blame them. Got his rictus grin thing going on. How do you draw a skeletal face that's like not a skeleton but kind of is a skeleton? This is just creepypasta papyrus. What's going on? Nah, it's whatever. Why are you standing up straight? You're always hunched over. You have terrible posture like me. And a horrible rictus grin like me. Everyone's doing the squats. Everyone's doing the chip squat. This is an enemy that uses its own, well, not its own, its mother's placenta, I guess, as a weapon. Bloodborne's lovely. It also constantly screams. Literally constantly. The placenta one, hooray! I did draw papyrus. Turns out, Orphan of Kos is papyrus. Deep Undertale lore. Things like wrapping around the arm or something. I'm not entirely sure what's going on. It's probably not connected still to the belly button. Maybe it is, I don't know. A lot of blobs. Blibbity blobbity placenta. This boss is hard. Tricky, but good to learn. Good to learn. You've been battling swine for the past 45 minutes. Fantastic. We've almost finished the DLC. And we have not very long to do the Chalice dungeons and the end of the game. Orphan of Kos, really cool. I'm a big fan of when the hardest, most brutal thing in a game is powerful, significant, but not bombastic. This is not a bombastic fight. This is just, you know, an orphaned child of a dead great one fighting you on a beach next to the corpse of its mother. Like, this is poignant. This is sad, and that's Bloodborne, you know. You're not fighting the big eldritch monstrosity in the sea. You are, you know, you're fighting its offspring, which is mournful. On the plus side, you have a brawny one called LeChonk, of course, and a drunken leader pig that increases your valor. Fantastic. This boss is really, really cool as like an ending. Like, this is the ending to Bloodborne as far as I'm concerned, right? Because you sort of put to rest the whole Hunter's Nightmare thing, and it's the ending because it's the beginning. It's not the beginning, we'll get to that, but it's the beginning of the story of the main game. Yeah, and it's just really cool. It's good when you have a DLC which comes after the main game, so obviously you've probably already finished it by the time you get the DLC. Whose story also acts as a good ending. That's really, really cool. As a fight, it's good to learn, but it's unforgiving. It's not forgiving. This is a hard fight. If you screw up, you screw up. It has a lot of health. The same problem I give Gale. It's very like Gale, actually, this fight. That's a weird comparison. I never would have made that comparison without talking about it. This is a lot like Gale, but cooler. This is just cooler Gale. Brilliant. Well, I'm going to put it wherever Gale was and then just a bit higher. There you go. You're not fully in S. Are you not? No, you are in S. Screw it. Of course you're in S. But your placenta is just touching A. What a sentence. Yeah. I'm not going to gush too much about the story. Okay. Lawrence. Almost forgot Lawrence. The sort of optional DLC boss, because see, it's the only one you don't have to do to progress in the DLC. I like when you first find Lawrence, is just sort of lounging. It's essentially a reskin of the Cleric Beast, but it has an interesting second phase where it loses its legs. And it just sort of crawls around on the floor spewing lava out of its back. It's on fire as well. You don't like this podcast? I'm sorry, should I talk about dogs and cats more? This is a big old dog with antlers. Him cute. So lounging all sort of like, oh. Draw me like one of your French beasts. It's holding on to the eye that you need to progress. But you don't have to fight it just now. You can't fight it just now. It's on like an altar up against a statue. He's also on fire. Did I mention he's on fire? I don't know why he's on fire. It's a nightmare. When you describe the area that you're playing the game in as a nightmare, anything goes. It's a literal nightmare. If you didn't know what this was, it looks like a gargoyle with a giant P. You named it Ferdinand and they really disliked it. Oh my word. Oh no, Fernand, sorry. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, sure. I'm doing a furry art right now. I mean, if somebody has made a furry costume of a cleric beast, hats off to you. You're doing not God's work. Some God's work. Some weird eldritch God's work. Lawrence has the best music in the game. Lawrence's music made me tear up. Because it's just a sort of a reforming of the Cleric Beast's theme, but with a new sort of motif and melody, and I love it. As a fight, it's fine. It's alright. He often causes the gargle with the pea pod, is it? Oh, the pea. Oh, I see. Yes, it's got a weird mishmash of peas. A pea pyrus. I can't. Can I put this higher? I'm gonna put this a little bit above the Cleric Beast, just a little bit, purely for the music. Purely for the music. There is no reason for it to go higher than the Cleric Beast, other than the music. And the Cleric Beast music is great. Don't get me wrong. It's the best music in the base game, but the DLC makes everything better. Right, before we do the final bosses, Chalice Dungeons. Let's not take too long on the Chalice Dungeons. I have to remember all the bosses. Ragdoll did say, where are we? Ragdoll said 21 Chalice Dungeon bosses. Right, I'm gonna have to keep a tally, I think. I'm not gonna be able to remember what they are. And I probably am gonna skip over a couple because some of them are just reskins of other ones with slightly different weapons. If we do all of those, we're gonna be here for like a month doing Elden Ring. So I'm gonna start with the Undead Giants. There's like 2 or 3 different versions of the Undead Giants. They're big old things. Big old hunched over friends, usually with one massive arm. Sometimes that massive arm is attached to a big old like knife or something. Sometimes they have a cannon on their arm, so I'll do both, why not? What a horrible time to be alive. They've got like sort of stakes in them. They've got candles on their back for some reason, because it looks cool, I guess. They're sort of wrapped in chains. It's great. Keep it simple. I don't know what's going on with the head. I'm gonna have like a sort of chains and stuff wrapped around. Big old bits sticking out of them. I seem to recall, at least on the first one you fight, there's like a big old pustule on the leg, and you can sort of burst that and do a lot of damage, but then it gets angry. As you would if somebody burst your pustule. It's frankly rude. Actually, what music is it? Oh, Amygdala. Okay. If you could put a candle on your back, wouldn't you? It depends on the circumstances, I think. Yeah. Undead Giant. Fine. It's fine. See? Fine. Got nothing particularly good or bad to say about it. Fine. Let's get the boring ones out of the way as well. Brainsucker. So Brainsucker is a really cool and interesting design because it's somebody has a parasite in their head that is taken over their brain, and now they have tentacles coming out of their face. But the main problem they have is they're just enemies in the base game. You see them several times. Just sort of scattered around places. You find them in the orphanage. They're just some in like Lower Yarnum. They sort of skitter towards you. Like, I'm gonna suck your brains. And then when they get there, a big old tentacle comes out the top of their head and into yours. And it sucks out insight, which is a currency in the game which you get whenever you see something horrible or like otherworldly. You have learned too much. Yeah, I'm gonna get you. That's not how hands work. Yeah, Brainsucker. It's literally an enemy that they put in a boss room. We'll get back to that when Elden Ring comes. Hey, this is fully optional content. It's not the end of the world. Yeah, we're in the challenge dungeons. The main story in the main game. We're not going to get back to that until we do the final bosses. Brainsucker. Oh god. There. Just get rid of it. Don't particularly care. It shouldn't be a boss, really. It's just an enemy. Yeah. Nothing's as bad as the Bed of Chaos. We can't put anything fully down the bottom because the Bed of Chaos is just the worst. Pig, man-eater boar. It's one of the pigs from the game. And that's it. They just put one of the pigs in a boss room. Covered in boils and stuff. The man-eater boar. Boss that becomes a regular enemy is one thing. The other way around doesn't work as well unless it's changed up. Exactly. Boss to become an enemy, that can work. It depends on the context, but it can work. It can work very well, in fact. Enemy that becomes a boss, you gotta do something different. You have to do something different. Sorry, Pig, I like you in the base game, but you're already in the base game. Getting rid of the boss would not change that. So they're the boring ones. I'm also not going to draw Amygdala, Ebrieta, and Rom, who you can fight in the Chalice dungeons, because you already fight those in the base game. Under Giants, Keeper of the Lords, old Watchdog of the Keeper of the Watchdog of the Keeper of the Lords. So this is ooh, Lawrence. Lawrence's music. I thought Lawrence was spelled with a W in this game. Oh. This is kind of the PvP sort of thing. I quite like their mask that they have under their thing, because it's just sort of like glowing orange eyes. They're sort of like a pyromancy kind of thing. Fire witch sort of thing going on. Their clothes are sort of smouldering sort of fire. The set's good. And they have a sword. It's a good sword fight. Like, actually learning this fight properly is necessary, because one of the times you fight this boss is in a Chalice dungeon where you have basically 0 health, because it takes all of your health away. So it's going to kill you in one hit, and you have to learn the fight. Who'd have thought? Yeah, Watchdog of the Keeper of the Old Lords, not Watchdog of the Old Lords. We'll get to the Watchdog. Is quite fun to execute. Honestly, it's not amazing, but it's a fun one-on-one. It's a good one-on-one. It has 2 phases, which is kind of cool. Phase 1 is like mostly just a sword fight. The second phase has a lot of like pyrotechnics and swooshes of fire going on, and it's interesting to learn how to dodge. You know, you've got to dodge into that one, but away from that one. If you stay too close, it's going to do the boom, and it's going to get hurt, etc., etc. It's pretty cool. Again, not amazing, but pretty fun. Is it as good as Maria? Not really. Down there. Nestle you down there. You'll be fine. Watchdog of the Old Lords. I don't know how to do this. I think it's another one of those ones that's got like lots of eyes for some reason. This is like, what if Sif was Quelaag? What if Big Dog, but lava, but on fire? Big fire dog running at you 100 miles an hour from across the other side of a massive arena and just vomiting lava everywhere as it goes. Again, it's got this sort of thing where it's like sort of dark on the outside but glowing on the inside. And you sort of has holes instead of eyes, I think. Hang on, turn the music up. Oh no, I'm gonna get a copyright strike. Okay. Everybody listen to Lawrence's theme, it's great. This fight is terrifying. Yeah, it's a thing. Very intimidating. Very, like, I'm glad they didn't put it in the base game because it's a thing. Dealing with lava is a problem. There's a bit of running away from the vomit, only this time the vomit is lava. The fact that that's not original for this series is weird. The fact that this is not the first time in the series I can say the vomit is lava is strange. But yeah, Watchdog, it's a bit of a hassle really, this one. If you're not very aggressive and very fast, you are going to be killed. And if you can't do enough damage to really, like, knock it down, like Parl, then it's just gonna get annoying, I think. I say I think it has. It has gotten annoying in the past. So this is not great. I'm not gonna put it high, but it's not terrible. Bloodstarved, it didn't make me as angry as Bloodstarved. But it's also not as interesting. So yeah, that's the thing. Next, we can do the Watchers. Watchers are like big blob friends. I think these ones were in clothes. You do fight one that doesn't have clothes, but you fight them as like a 3-on-1. And like two of them have clubs, but one of them has a gun. So it's sort of like an interesting thing. It's mostly just running around, stopping them from attacking you. Big old blunderbuss. Not blunderbuss. Pistol blunderbuss. Flintlock. I don't really know what their clothes look like, I'll be honest. But yeah, this is just a sort of 3-enemy fight, really. It's not nothing really to write home about. Like I say, you do fight one of them, I think, on its own later, and it's not wearing any clothes, and it just rolls around, very Elden Ring-esque. Like, I have a club. I'm gonna club you there. They're very blobby. Don't know why they're blobby. But yeah, they're called like the Merciless Watchers, I think they're called. Merciless Watcher and the Merciless Chieftain. This one's like, hello. Merciless Watcher and Chieftain. Yeah, that's fine. Wouldn't be incredibly upset if you got rid of it. Yeah, stick it there. I'm indifferent to where it goes, to be honest. Is that all the boring ones? Might be all the boring ones. Let's go to the significant ones. The Thumerian Descendant. So this is the face of a Thumerian. The Thumerian Descendant is absolutely terrifying. It is by far the fastest boss you will have fought up until that point. It just comes at you. It is so quick. And it is relentless. It will not give you any time to do anything else. It looks like a lot more regal than this. Again, I can't really remember how to draw this thing, to be honest. I just remember that his face looks like that. I'll know what I mean by this when I draw this. And it like throws these as boomerangs, and they come back and they slice you, and it's just, you can't even get away from this thing to heal. Oh, it's so relentless, this boss. Another. Whoa! It doesn't make noises, I think, when it fights you, but it is quite something to fight. It's an experience. One of the most like frustrated times in the Chalice dungeons, just trying to learn how to beat this thing because it's so fast. Again, I can't be too mean about things in the Chalice dungeons because they are by definition things that they didn't include in the base game. I mean, it's in the base game. You got it. You bought the game. It's there, but they didn't put it in the real world because they were like, it's not good enough to go in the real world. But once you get this, I do remember it being kind of satisfying. Not amazing, but kind of satisfying. So I'm going to give it that. Am I going to put it that high? Oh, not really. There's somewhere convenient that it can go. There. That seems good. Nice. Paired up with this, we have the Thumerian Elder. I'm going to give a crown. I don't know if it has a crown, but I'm going to give it a crown. Same face. Oh, I'm a Thumerian. Woohoo! My name is a Silent P. This one has a staff, and it's got a really cool gimmick. It's not quite as fast. Actually, it's not anywhere near as fast generally. It can be, in particular attacks. But generally speaking, this thing is kind of cool because it's like, it's got a cape. It has a staff which it can do fire stuff with, but it can also convert the staff into like other weapons and attack you with other weapons. So you got to kind of keep track of what it looks like at that time. It's sort of like Soul of Cinder before Soul of Cinder. Like a prototype Soul of Cinder. I don't know if it's a staff or a scythe to begin with. I'm going to make it a scythe because it looks cool. Do you have a hood on? Apologies for my neighbours who are engine enthusiasts. I don't think you do. I think you have sort of long hair. This is feels less relentless than the other fights, but still very tricky, quite unforgiving. You get hit by stuff in this fight, you've got to deal with the consequences. I think this one has like a shorter thing, and you can see his feet for some reason. It's very like emaciated, sort of mummified. These are the mummies of the game, I guess. I like this a little more than the Descendant, but not a great deal more, to be honest. So I'm just going to put you sort of... Oh, there's nowhere good to put you in there. Hang on, I flip you. Yeah, sure. No, well, actually, no. I'm going to put... you can see... Oh, the C list is growing. Growing and growing. I'm going to have to make the thing longer, aren't I? Make the canvas longer, everyone. All right. Thumerian Elder, the Descendant. There's the beasts. The beasts. The Bloodletting Beast. Bloodletting Beast. There are two versions of the Bloodletting Beast, neither of which have a head. I don't really remember a lot about the Bloodletting Beast fight, it must be said. It's just a big old beast that slams and goes like that. But the second phase I do remember, and we'll get to this when we do the next one of these. They just want to do some farming in their ground. They just want to reap a little bit of crops. Yes, the one thing I do remember about this fight is there's a big old maggot in the head, or where the head should be. And it spits poison at you. Actually, do I remember this fight? I might remember this fight. If I start doing it, like in a challenge run, I seem to remember learning this fight actually quite well in a challenge run. But I also don't remember any of the details about it, so... yeah, this feels like, hey, we made a big beast. We tried it, didn't quite fit in the main game, so let's put it here. It's cool. It's alright. It's not the end of the world. I do remember hearing some people saying that this is like one of the most difficult bosses in the Chalice dungeons. I don't agree with that at all. But yeah, this is Proto Sekiro, basically. This is going to confuse me when I start doing the Sekiro. Luckily, I'm color coding these. Yes, this is the Bloodletting Beast. I remember it being pretty good, honestly. It's not the best, but it's pretty good. Can we put it there? We'll put it there. Why not? Yeah. There's another beast. Oh, sorry, Parl. There's another Parl in the Chalice dungeons as well, and I'm not counting that. Not called Parl. It's called the Loran Silver Beast or something like that. No, hang on. The Loran Silver Beast is a different trivial boss that I forgot. So the Silver Beasts, they have like long necks and like weird faces, like that. They don't look like lizards, but I've drawn them like a lizard, so they're going to be lizards now. Yes, so this is an enemy that you fight in Mensis, and it's a boss in one of the Chalice dungeons. It hasn't even been given more health. You can take this down in like 2 hits by the time you actually get to it. This is in the 3rd difficulty of dungeon bosses, and it's just trivial, absolutely trivial. Yeah, this thing's covered in sort of scraggly stuff. Yeah, I completely forgot this was a boss. Like, that should be indicative of, you know... I'm not even going to finish drawing it. Down you go. So what's the other beast? The other beast is the Abhorrent Beast. Oh, baby. Right. The Abhorrent Beast... is technically not... It is technically in the base game. It is a mini-boss in the base game. It is a character who is completely optional to fight, and most people probably miss it. I know I did. And even those who do find it, I remember watching Game Grumps playing this. They just completely cheesed this enemy by standing in a doorway it couldn't get through and throwing poison knives at it. But yes, this is the Abhorrent Beast. It is... If you thought the Thumerian Descendant was fast and unforgiving, boy, you're in for a big old massive electric wind punch to the face. This thing is strong and incredibly fast. It will do a lot to you, and none of it will be nice. It also buzzes with electricity a little bit. This was the most frustrated I was with the Chalice dungeons. Oh god, I do not suit incredibly quick playstyles. Like, I'm not slow. I don't stand behind a shield. I learn to dodge and all that sort of stuff. But trying to dodge this boss consistently is just a nightmare. I don't think it has big feet, actually. I think it's just mostly the big claws and the massive whooshes of electricity and wind that happen. It's hard. This boss is hard. It was for me, anyway. But I think satisfying. Question mark. I'm not as sure this is as satisfying to do as some of the other bosses. I think it was just relief mostly upon beating it. But yeah, again, this is like a character in the base game. It's completely optional stuff that you could easily miss, but they had enough confidence in it as a fight to put it in the Chalice Dungeon, so that says something. They could have just left it as like a thing people would miss in the base game, and they didn't. And they were like, no, this deserves time. It's just, yeah, hard. It's hard. I don't have great memories of it. I don't want to say it's bad. It's just really hard. Is this like? I mean, we haven't gotten to millennia yet, so we don't have precedent for this. But how am I going to include difficulty on this scale? I've barely mentioned difficulty when it comes to how much I like a boss, because it very rarely has anything to do with it. If it's incredibly easy, I could the bloody Witches of Hemwick are in A. Difficulty has nothing to do with this. But I just that is the thing I remember about this boss, is that it is hard. I don't want to put it C, because that feels like a cop-out. C for cop-out. Would I be upset if this was removed? Yeah, this is an experience. I'll put it here. Do I want to fight it right now? No, I don't want to fight it right now. Difficult could be good or bad, it depends on how it's set up. It's not really good or bad in this instance, it's just difficult. And it's just so fast. It's just so unlike my playstyle, right? It just doesn't click. This is like almost sort of the opposite of Sullivan, right? Because Sullivan has this whole, like, attacks twice, one after the other thing, is very quick, there's very little, like, cooldown after his attacks. Big sweeps, combos, and all these sorts of things. But I like it so much because the timing of it just clicks. It just works. It's just a dance that is so fun to execute. This is the precise opposite. This is constant vigilance required. You need to memorize the timing of everything perfectly, and none of it lines up with what you expect, or what I expect at least. I can't say it's bad, it's just, oh. How am I spending this much time on this boss? I don't know. It's just, well, easy, because that's how much time I spent fighting the bloody thing. Yeah, sure, that's that. Let's go. No, I think I have to put it in C. I can't. I have too strong a feeling about it that isn't negative to put it below C. But I don't want to fight it right now. What else have we got going on? I can't think of any other Chalice Dungeon bosses that aren't variations of these. I can think of one that isn't in the game that I haven't fought, so I can't. There was an early version of a boss coming up in a minute that's in the boss. There is also the final boss of the Chalice Dungeons. I haven't forgotten about that. But I'm trying to think if there's anything before that. A lot of my time in this Chalice Dungeons was spent trying to fight the version of Amygdala that you have to fight with no health. You have no health, I should specify. And the Ebrieta, which is also a pain. Again, a lot of the bosses in the Chalice Dungeons are just repeats or variations of other bosses in the Chalice Dungeons, or enemies. The Madman. So the Madman is it's a PvP fight. It's you versus a PvP AI enemy, and you fight them, and then halfway through the fight, his friend shows up. He's got like weird snakes around him. I'm not entirely sure what's going on with the clothes, but you can get the clothes once you killed them. I can't even remember the name. Is it the Mad Prospector or something like that? Hi. I don't even know what weapon he has. Does he use tentacles? He might use tentacles. I don't know. Again, this is not a particularly memorable fight. It's just a PvP sort of thing. Again, like halfway through the fight, his friend shows up, and then it becomes managing 2 enemies. You know how I feel about that. I think it's mostly just sort of tatters. Might have a gun. Usually things have a gun in this game. I'm mainly using this time to try and remember if there's anything else in the game that I've forgotten. Yeah, there's a weird kind of wormy, snaky thing going around its clothes. That's basically all I remember about this boss. And the fact that it's 2-on-1. Yeah, you fight the fire guy. I guess, technically I should be able to know exactly how many boss fights you do, because there's basically like 3 levels for every difficulty of the game. There's 4 of those. Every chalice has 3 bosses, except a couple which have 4. But I don't know how many repeats there are, etc, etc. It's I don't know. This is going to be a little more flibbly-flobbly as whether or not I remember everything in this one. But I will, after the stream, I will look up all the bosses and see if I forgot anything. And if I did, I will add them to the next time we do this, which will be Sekiro. I'm going to assume you go with the tentacle build, because why wouldn't you? And then he has a friend, who is also here. I don't care. It's not all, well, it is. Go away. What else may there be? I don't know. Should we just carry on with this? I think that might just be my summary of the Chalice dungeons. There's the Watchers, there's the Watchdog, there's the Thumerian Descendant and the Thumerian Elder, there's Ebrieta, oh no, there's a repeat of Rom, Ebrietas, the Celestial Emissary, Pal, and Amygdala. There are 2 or 3 undead giants, there's the Abhorrent Beast, Bloodletting, couple of Bloodletting Beasts, a Pal, sorry, I forgot about a Pal, what, the Keeper of the Old Lords, Brainsucker, Pig, Loran Silver Beast, and the Mad Prospector person. Is there a Watcher of the Dog? There's the Watchdog, and there is the Keeper of the Old Lord. So it may very well be that that's the Keeper of the Dog. Because Keeper of the Watchdog of the Old Lords is a bit of a mouthful, so they probably just made it Keeper. So maybe this is the Keeper. They look after the dog. They do look after dogs, actually. You find them prowling after you've beaten it as a boss. Later on in the Chalice dungeons, you'll find them sort of walking around as an enemy with other dogs sort of following them. So maybe they are the Dog Watcher. Okay, I'm gonna say that's it. Let's do the final stretch. Spoilers, if you haven't played Bloodborne and you want to. I'm now about to spoil quite a lot of bits. There's only 3 bosses left to do, but They are significant. So yeah, you have been warned. Yharnam. Queen Yharnam. A Pthumerian who you see in the base game several times. This sort of... sort of bride with a bloody stomach. It's an unsettling vision. She is the Queen Yharnam, Pthumerian Queen. Arguably the source of quite a lot of everything that's been happening. Who knows if it was happening before the Pthumerians, I don't know. Pthumerians are like an ancient society, who you're sort of... The Chalice Dungeons are basically their tombs or their catacombs. Ancient sort of structures that they built. So yeah, her deal is... I'm not entirely certain of the lore in my head, but basically Murgo was her child, I think. Pretty certain of that. But it was a child with an old one, an old lord, and so that basically everything's screwed up at that point. Does she have the face? She might have the face. I'm going to give her the face. She's a Pthumerian. They all have that face. That's racist, Chris. And I think when you start fighting her, her hands are bound. So that's a good indication of things to come. Or things that have happened. But she soon gets out of that, don't you worry. No, sirree, does she stay like that? Absolutely not. She will break those bonds and she will start hurtling poison blood at you. Straight from her still inexplicably pleasant pregnancy bump. Yeah, they went hard with Bloodborne. Yeah, I remember finding out Queen Yharnam because I watched a playthrough of Bloodborne before I bought the game because it was my first FromSoft game, so I didn't know. Did she have a veil? She might have a veil. Sure, why not? Well, she has a veil, but is it over the face? So I'd seen everything in the base game for myself by the time I bought the game and played it myself, but I didn't see the Chalice Dungeon stuff. So finding out that Queen Yharnam was like the big boss of the Chalice Dungeons was pretty cool. She is pretty cool. She's kind of an annoying fight. She does a bit of a pinwheel where she copies herself several times, and you know the real one because the real one has the pregnancy bump, the rest of them don't. But yeah, she like projectile fires blood across the arena, and like it's poisonous and it can sort of trap you in place, and then she comes along and stab, stab, stab. She's got a lot of pent-up anger. Stuff's happened to her. And frankly, I understand. But do you have to take that out on me? No. For defeating her, you get a stone. A bloodstone thing. And the item description basically says, this thing is useless, but it proves you beat the Chalice Dungeons. Congratulations. And if you look at it, it's clearly a like crystallized fetus. So yeah, it's this is a game. The pregnancy bump stays for a little while after birth. Okay, well this is a little less than like just a bump, but she's pretty solidly pregnant. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is a temporary thing. But again, well, I was about to say this is quite long after the birth because the birth happened probably several thousand years ago. But also at the same time, she's still alive after several thousand years. There's some shenanigans going on. I can't say that it isn't there. I'm going under the assumption that the body's still in there because Murgo in the nightmare does not have a physical form. She's just a voice, a crying baby voice. So it's not a pleasant world to be diving into, this game. It's very horrid. There's a lot of things in this game that are very horrid. And as many people have pointed out, a lot of it is, you know, I don't want to get too political for current events, but A lot of the horrible stuff happens to women. Let's all learn a lesson from Bloodborne, shall we? Queen Yharnam is really interesting to dive deep into, a really striking image. And not a great fight, but it's iconic enough to me that it should be quite high. Not hugely high, but I could put it... It has the same sort of status as Amygdala, right? It looks really cool, really neat idea. The fight isn't really my cup of tea, but boy howdy does it stick with you. Very neat. I hate saying very neat about whatever's going on with her. It's not neat. It's horrible. It's horrific. This is a little sideline, and I always, whenever I get the opportunity to point this out, I really do. Bloodborne is horror. Bloodborne is a horror game. I don't care what anyone says. It's a horror game. It's not scary. It doesn't have to be scary. It is horrific, is what it is. It does a lot better job at being horrific than most scary games. It is horror. And that's why I love it. Anyway, Gehrman. Why there are just so many people? I have to just draw people, he says, knowing that the next game is Sekiro. So Gehrman has a hat as well, doesn't he? Gehrman joins the hunt. It's horrible, horrible lore. It's very interesting. I like it. Gehrman doesn't have a face wrap, does he? No, he's not. Does he have an eye thing? Does he have like a thing over the eyes? I'm not sure he does. I don't know. He's an old man. Anyway, yeah, Gehrman, the person who's been sitting in a wheelchair and sort of telling you what to do all game. Turns out, Chekhov's wheelchair man. He's your final boss, kinda. And he has he has an scythe that can be converted into a hand, or a sickle, I guess. Basically, he's death, right? He is the Reaper. You fight him in like a garden with flowers everywhere, and every time he swings the scythe, flowers sort of get cut and float in the air, and it's very cool and symbolic. He is the equivalent of the Grim Reaper in this story. He is the one who will end your nightmare. He offers to, and that is, you can end the game without fighting him. He's going to say, I'm going to cut off your head now, and you're going to wake up. Congratulations for doing what you did. And you can do that, and that's fine. Or you can say no, and that's when you fight him. I think he has like a false leg or something. I'm not sure. Not sure about this. Again, I don't really know what I'm doing here. I'm gonna give him a scarf. He's probably got a cape as well. A lot of people in these games have capes. They're trying to be cool. I think he's an old hunter, so I think he's got the leg thing as well, the wrapping up the thing. And I can't remember if he has a prosthetic leg or not. It's in flowers. You fight him in a field of flowers, so who knows? He has a false leg, okay, which you only discovered when you were looking at Bloodborne for Grim Hollow inspiration. I mean, he is in a wheelchair most of the game. You would assume that there's something going on. Is he doing the looking down with a hat pulled far down thing? Yeah. Most characters with hats are doing that in this game. Speaking of which, I could probably be a bit low. But yeah, Gehrman is the closest thing Bloodborne base game has to that really, really satisfying 1v1 fight that you get out of Ludwig. And it is... Given that the last game that Miyazaki worked on was Dark Souls 1, prior to this, this feels like the kind of thing he wanted Gwyn to be, but sort of failed. He says himself he doesn't like how Gwyn turned out because you can just parry him and he's not very fun if you don't. This feels like that kind of like 1v1 sort of fair fight, but with somebody who's just much more powerful than you. And this feels like a really good ending boss. This is a really good, like, fair... This is the horror ending boss, right? This is your Grim Reaper. This is your Gothic horror end. And it's very satisfying to learn. It has two phases. There's two different parts of fighting. Pre-moon, post-moon. He has a thing going on with the moon where he looks at the moon and goes, ah, and then explodes and then has different moves. But it's always still just him and you. And he's very fast when he wants to be. This is I didn't really appreciate it on my first playthrough because I was kind of overpowered by the time I got to there, but when I was doing the whole... each time you finish the game, you can play it again, but on a higher difficulty, and it goes up to New Game Plus 6, which is the 7th playthrough. And that's like the highest difficulty you can do. It was only when I was doing that I learned how good a fight this is, because you can kind of blast through it when you're overpowered and not really think about it much, but on higher new game scalings, later game bosses get harder than the earlier ones do, proportionally speaking. So you have to learn this fight, and it is a very good fight to learn. It's good. It's good. It's real good. If you would have asked me, like, what are my favorite bosses from the Soulsborne series, I probably would have forgotten about Gehrman, but actually thinking about it, no, he's up there. I don't think he's quite S, but he's on the Gale level. He's slightly better than Gale, I think. They're both good in their own way. Gale has a bit too much health. I don't really have any complaints about Gehrman, to be honest. I don't absolutely love him because he's just the guy with the scythe, but it fits. It fits the theme of what they're trying to do, because he is the end of the horror, the Gothic horror, which is all about man doing things. But yeah, I'm happy to put him there. Then we have, if you have decided to indulge in not just the Gothic horror, but the Lovecraftian horror, the cosmic horror, you have the other end boss, who is the Moon Presence. We've had our Gothic horror ending, now it's time for the cosmic horror ending. This thing is a thing. I'll be perfectly honest, I don't really know what's going on with this in terms of story. I imagine it's the great one that's keeping the hunter's dream alive, and the thing that's been trapping Gehrman all this time. And maybe even the thing that has been perpetuating the hunt the entire time. This might be actually the thing that has caused everything that's going... Well, not everything that's going wrong, but at the very least the hunt. This baby can fit so much horror. This is what I love about Bloodborne, is it does it all. It can do the Gothic horror, it can do the cosmic horror, it can do the existential horror, it can do the body horror, I guess, but in a way that isn't gruesome, just conceptually gruesome. Yeah, this thing it's something. As a fight, not amazing, it must be said. But it has two bonuses, right? Firstly, fully optional. Secondly, it comes after another amazing end fight. And so you don't really want like another massive challenge after a really big challenge. But here's the kicker, right? Here's the big point. You get a checkpoint. When you beat German, you don't have to beat him again. They could have done a Frida and just like had it so you had to keep fighting German every time you wanted to do Moon Presence but died. But they didn't, and that's cool. That stands for a lot, I think. And I know that's a weird thing saying that, like, my favorite thing about this boss is that it has a checkpoint before it. I don't really know what it looks like, to be honest. It's got this really cool silhouette that I've completely forgotten. It's got a lot of tentacles going on. The boss fight's main gimmick, I think, is that it has a couple of attacks which are weird and to do with blood. Firstly, it has an attack which can stop you healing. You heal with blood, and it's like, well, I'm going to stop that. And then it has an attack that reduces you immediately to 1 HP. Now, this is cool for the game in the sense of like, hey, this boss has an attack that stops you healing and can reduce your health to 1 if it does it immediately afterwards. But the game has a mechanic called Rally, which means that if you are aggressive and you are fast and you've just taken damage, doing more damage to an enemy will mean that you can get that health back, or some of that health back at least. So this game is telling you, this is the final boss, you should have learned this by now, be aggressive. I think it's got the whole ribcage thing going on as well. Big motif in the game. And also, even if you don't fight this boss, you get to see it in the cutscene if you fought German. Because it comes down and it embraces you. And you become the new German. Probably got some cool rib things. Again, can't remember what this... Does it have a tail? Might have a tail. It's cool. I really like how this looks. I love it as the bookend to the cosmic horror. I think it's quite appropriate that the bookend to the cosmic horror is not as mechanically satisfying as the bookends to the gothic horror. Because that fits with pretty much all the bosses in the game, right? The cosmic horrors look really good, but mechanically kind of annoying. I've got to put it quite high purely for aesthetics and story and reveal. Again, first time experience is a big part of my love for things. I can put it with like Yharnam and Amygdala. It has the Amygdala. It's on, you know, it's got the Amygdala syndrome of looking really cool but not being a great fight, all things considered. Yeah. And I think that's it. That should be it, unless I've missed a Chalice Dungeon boss. I think that's it. We have Bloodborne. That didn't take as long as I thought. I really rushed through the Chalice Dungeons, which, let's face it, it feels appropriate. I think I'm quite happy in justifying that Bloodborne is one of my favorite games now, looking at the distribution of bosses, right? Like, most of the bad bosses are just like, they're just enemies in a room, and I don't like them because they're just enemies in a room. The Bloodborne has happened. It has occurred. So yeah, like, the worst thing I can say about a boss is that, it's fine, like D-. And the best thing I can say about a boss is that 5 of them are A or above. So I think I'm justified now. I think I'm happy saying, okay, my view of the bosses, at least, is consistent with my personal feelings of the game as a whole, which I was honestly worried it wouldn't be. When examining minutiae, I tend to find that the overall experience is not indicative of the sum of the individual experiences. I remember when I did that with like a Doctor Who. I did like a personal ranking of like every episode of Doctor Who that I'd seen, because I wanted to see on average what was my favorite series and what was my least favorite series, and I knew what I thought my least favorite series was, and it turned out to be like the 4th best. So if you just tallied up and took the average of the episodes. So yeah, I'm quite pleased that this actually seems to fit. Interestingly, not far off Dark Souls 3 actually. Like Dark Souls 3 has a few outliers down here with Crystal Sage. I feel bad about putting the Crystal Sage on E. Actually, do I? Not really. It's interesting. Yeah. And I was sort of interested to do this. Like, Dark Souls 1 has a pretty solid spread, right? Now, that just might be me, like, working out what this ranking system is. Dark Souls 2 is pretty heavily down at the bottom. There is some good stuff in there, but nothing getting the A and above. Dark Souls 3 is nice and average, a little poking above, some cool stuff. Got some Gale and some can never remember his bloody name. Sullivan. But yeah, Bloodborne seems to be quite high, so I'm happy about that. Shall we do what we did in the last stream and have a gander at some concept art? Sullivan! Sully! That's Sully. Who's Mike Wazowski? I don't know. Miklash? Maybe. There's only one solid F. Again, Bed of Chaos is the absolute certainty of this entire group that it is the worst. This is absolutely the worst. That was our calibration. I wasn't sure we were going to get an S when I started this. I wasn't sure I would actually let something be an S. But we have 4 now. 4.5. 5.5? 5? 4 and 2 halves. Remember to have your 4 and 2 halves a day, kids. Have those 2 peach halves. Yeah. Whose concept art do we want to see? I was talking about somebody. Oh, the one Reborn. I still don't think anything's going to top Walnir, because Walnir's concept art was just amazing. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So the one Reborn, interestingly, unless I'm reading this wrong, or looking at this wrong, hang on, let me get it next to the drawing I did, wherever it was. It's not that high. There it is. You see what I mean about this being impossible to draw? But interesting, I'm looking at this. I don't think that big body on the back, I don't remember that. I don't remember that being in the fight. I remember there being a small body commanding it. This looks smaller than it is in the game, interestingly. But also, again, just look at that bloody art. Like, it's... Yeah, look at that art. Look at that wonderful grey. So that's a little face there and reaching out hand. But, like, clearly only paint where there needs to be, and let's not put too much detail in if we don't have to. Just imply detail. I have this concept art book and they printed it on shiny paper, which means you can't see anything. It's Bloodborne. All the pictures are dark. They're clearly not getting their 5 a day. Chains in there as well. It's interesting. Compared to this one. There's a concept art for the celery. Just wanted to see if they're always your standard alien, but blue and bulbous. Oh, you're talking about the celestial emissary. The celery emissary. There should be, yeah. I don't know if there's one of the big one. I think the big one is literally just a normal one scaled up. Celestial Emissary. I can't spell emissary. Apparently, he has one M, two S's. Concept. All right. They come in two forms. Open and closed. Which sounds worse than it is. Let's say bulbous and tentacle. Is that concept art or is that just the model? Doesn't feel like concept. Where is the concept art? Ooh, oh. Ooh, okay. Early concept art for the moon presence. Actually, I'm gonna get back to the celery, but early concept for the moon presence is pretty interesting. Look at that. There's a big feature that ended up being missing in the actual game. It's sort of like, I'm guessing like dream bubble, because it's all about dreams, right? So I'm guessing this is supposed to represent the sort of dreamscape or something, the nightmare. This is why I like looking at concept art. You see things that didn't make it into the game. This is why the Wolnir one looks so good. Wispy dream membrane, I know. That's really interesting. So many fingers as well. They got a thing about lots of fingers. Whose music is that? I don't recognize this music at all. Dark Souls 2, Worshippers of the Dead. What the hell does that mean? I don't know. Yeah, Celestial Emissary. Amygdala, that's Canehurst. Moon presence with the bubble. Completely forgotten about that. And the labyrinth stuff. It's the DLC. Where are you? They're elusive buggers. Maybe they're not in here. Maybe this is why I can't find the art. Oh no, there they are. Oh no, that is the art. It doesn't feel like art. It's also in a tiny corner for some reason. Remember this one when I played Bloodborne once? The organ pipes are very familiar. I think they triggered slightly your tryptophobia. Yeah, they are writhing. It's I do not envy the 3D modelers for Bloodborne. Anyway, apparently this is the concept art. This is what they look like normally. and this is what they look like when they're having fun. Not particularly indicative of how they look in the game, to be honest. They're more bulbous and glowing in the game. But, so not really sort of typical alien look. They've got the sort of little dot eyes, little stars. Which makes sense, really. Party time! And yeah, and they've got that weird extra finger. Yeah, they're much bluer in the game. Hang on, let me get a picture. And this is what makes them stand out, right? You spend this entire game, you're playing this game, it's just all black and occasional splashes of red, literally. And you play like the entire first half of that game, and then you're walking through the woods, and all of a sudden, this thing comes towards you. And you're like, ah! Okay. But yeah, they've got a sort of more bulbous sort of spore-like thing going on with glowing eyes and stuff. This is one of the instances where I think actually the in-game model is better than the concept art. I think this works better. Feels more gamey in a sense, but mushroom, yeah, it looks like a mushroom. It's got like kind of spore things going on. It's interesting. Anything else we want to look up the concept art of? You like that one better? Yeah. We looked at Moon Presence, didn't we? Yharnam? Guess it makes sense to look at Yharnam because I don't think I did a great job of that. Yharnam thingamabob. Concept art. Oh yeah, Queen Yharnam concept art. Oh yeah, she has a dagger. Forgot about that. There she is. It's a bit more sorrowful here. She does have the skeletal face. I forgot about that, and the roses on the dress, and a veil. She did have a veil. I was right about that. I mean, I said I didn't think she had one, but I was going to add one anyway. Is that barbed wire? What's going on there? Might be. Probably not. It might be. It's pretty art, but what a bad silhouette. I mean, look, you can't be having to go for her image with everything she's been through. Anything else? Not really, I guess. Oh, Ludwig. Yes, let's see if we can get something a bit more accurate than that for Ludwig. No, I'm gonna go. Hurry! I'm gonna go to the concept art. Oh no, I understand. I understand what you're saying. Then the silhouette black, and you have the worst snail. You played Elden Ring. But this is first form art. A lot more hooves than I thought. I actually underplay. I thought I was overplaying the hooves. There are more hooves. And again, this is the thing. This is the thing I keep saying that I wanna get the hang of when doing like concept art and stuff, which is, you know, this looks, you know, the detail on this is exceptional. This is like a fully rendered piece of art, and then you like zoom in, and you're like, okay, actually no, some of this is just bits like this up here. This is just sort of like a wispy, messy. This is just a blob with some squiggles on it. This isn't actually a claw. Like, there's no actual form here. There is just the implication of a form. And you go down here, this is just a smudge. This isn't a leg. It didn't even try on this bit. But it doesn't matter, because you zoom out and you're like, I can see exactly what this is. They put detail in precisely the right places and saved by not putting detail in the places they didn't need. And I love that. And just for fun, because I don't think Chibi was here the last time we did this. Here is the concept art for High Lord Wolnir from Dark Souls 3. If I can find it. High Lord Volnir, who in the game is a massive skeleton, but in the concept art looks like that. Which is also a massive skeleton, but made of smoke. And looks friggin' amazing. This is like my favorite thing ever. Like, I understand how they couldn't do this in the game. But my word. I just wanted to show that off again. This stuck with me. This really stuck with me. And I'm sure that's the Bloodborne character. Give that artist a raise, yeah. Unfortunately, they don't credit the artist in this, which is a shame. But just as boss. Looks so cool. A wispy. Again, trying to get this working in a game engine is a nightmare, but stunning. Stunning. Need to get the Dark Souls 3 art book when I can afford it. And don't have to pay for bills. Gives you YouTube. They have new kill animations in Wartail Hammer Bonks. Yes. As you and Sheep have discovered, looking at Celesta smoke, smoke that moves with models is hard. Yeah. The way I would think of doing it is you would have just like a polygon, a polyhedron with like a scrolling texture over it, a bit like the fog gates. But even then, trying to get it to look like that is just brilliant. Celesta's bestiary models are strange. It's fancy. I can't find anything. There's this little man model which is very stationary, but then you turn it and the tail is just made out of elastic. Nice. The only part of the model that behaves that way. Probably some sort of weird anchor point joint thing. Very exciting music, but literally nothing happening. Okay, let's end out on Orphan of Kos. No, let's end out on Gehrman. Why not? I think Gehrman is the fitting. Like, I love Orphan of Kos, but it is basically just a thin rigor mortis corpse with placenta. So let's do Gehrman, who looks cool. Who is a cool person. What happened there? That text? I just dragged text? I just dragged my Google search into OBS and it made a text layer. What? It can do that? Here's what I searched in Google. I guess. Go away. Today I learned. Yeah, I just dragged it. I just selected it, dragged it into OBS, and now this is what I've just searched. Gehrman, Bloodborne concept art. Apparently that's the thing. Good to know. Ooh, again. We have this kind of cool grumpy figure here. He has a top hat. I forgot he has a top hat. Of course he has a top hat. He's got his cool cape. He is death, he is Dracula, he is the summary of gothic horror. Look at him. And again, not too much detail. There's very little detail going on in quite a lot of the shading. It's just precisely where you need it. You get the idea. It's concept art. Let's move on, you know? Fancy man. A lot of detail in the weaponry. basic ideas of the clothes and the patterning of it. He does have a wooden leg. The right leg. Maybe it's the right leg then in the stories that people have wrapped up. Very Vampire Hunter vibes, exactly. Look at it. Perfect gothic horror antagonist. And with that, we shall end. Thank you for coming along. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you had a good time. We will continue this, I guess, next Wednesday with Sekiro. Let's see if I can remember all of the bosses in that. Probably not. Again, there's a lot of bosses in Sekiro which are repeats. I'm not going to be doing repeats. I'm not going to be drawing 4 spearmen. You know, I'm certainly not going to remember their names because they're just Japanese names and I didn't bother committing them to memory because they're not important characters. So, what about 5 spearmen? Isn't one of the spearmen like called like so and so of the 7 spears, and then you only fight like 3 of them or something? I don't know. Such is the way of things. Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of me trying to draw like Japanese armor and weapons in a way that makes it look different from the way I drew Japanese armor and weapons in the previous drawing. But we'll see. Also, I have to remind myself of all of the bosses in Sekiro because it's been a while. It's been a while since I played that game. It's a good game, but we'll see. Even FromSoft thought 7 was too many. You haven't played Elden Ring. There is a boss I fought in that game 8 times. No exaggeration. And when I got to the end of the game and I found an area where there was an item that I needed, and I went down into that area, and 3 of them appeared. I was like, nope, I'm not even going near you. Screw you. 11 is too many. I love that boss, but God. We'll get to that in 2 weeks. So yeah. Ooh, lovely Gwyn music. Yes, I'll be back next Wednesday with the Sekiro one of this, but we will also be back on Saturday. Sweesh, swoosh, swelp. Perhaps with Raft, if everybody's available. If not, something else. We'll see. Fingers crossed. Good relaxing stream for Dumbren. Speaking of good relaxing streams with Chib, tomorrow is Thursday. I'm reliably informed. Yeah. Learning room! So yeah, well, that reminds me, I need to get to work on the Hitman thing. Tomorrow is Thursday. Chib Nether's Day. Thursday stream? More Borderlands maybe? Who knows? Maybe drawing, maybe talking. Don't know what to do now. You've done Borderlands 3. Borderlands 2. It's up to you. Yes, and then on Sunday, Project Via. Tuesday, more Neo. Life continues apace. Hopefully I'll be here next Wednesday, actually, because I've got the dentist appointment, but that's in the morning. But we'll see how my nerves are. Should be fine. Unless they tell me I have to have all of my teeth taken out or something stupid. Maybe you'll play Borderlands 2 and you can see how frustrated you get with your inability to climb. Anyway, thank you everyone for coming along. Hope you had a good time. Hope you're enjoying this weird series where I rank everything by this most nebulous idea of what I think is good and bad, and basically make Dark angry. Have a grand old time, everyone. Enjoy your week. Look after yourselves. Stay cool. Getting a bit warm. Unless you're in the southern hemisphere, in which case stay warm. Yeah. Look after yourselves. Thank you very much. Do the egg, everybody. Bye!